Camdenton, Missouri at Ha Ha Tonka State Park. Today is Friday, October 2nd. We're gonna check out the castle ruins and do some hiking. Never been here before, so it looks pretty beautiful here. Our trip here today to get here was about maybe 2.5 hours. So we're a little bit tired of sitting in the car. So it's nice to get out and walk around. Getting here, it's on the northeast side of the Ozarks. There's a little parking lot. And you immediately see the carriage house ruins when you park and get out, walk around, and you can immediately see that there are views over this portion of the lake, which are just incredible. You can see some of the remnants of the old castle there on top of the hill that overlooks the portion of the Ozarks here, this lake, the Ozark Lake, the Lake of the Ozarks, rather. This castle was actually the house of a wealthy businessman, Robert Snyder. In 1903, he visited the area and he was so impressed that he purchased the land to build his dream house, essentially. And he wanted to build a European-style castle. The plan included over 60 rooms with a central atrium that rose 3.5 stories. This site was also supposed to have a water tower and greenhouses and stables. You can see the carriage house area here. All of this was built with sandstone that was quarried nearby to this site. Only one small issue. Robert Snyder passed away in an early automobile accident in 1906. Construction for this house and all of the buildings on the site began in 1905, but it was all halted at that time. He had about 4 sons, and they finished the structure in the early 20s, but it wasn't finished to original specifications. In addition, in the 1920s, the Bagnell Dam was created, which altered the surrounding views. There used to be a small lake, but it was consumed, so it kind of changed the way some of the streams routed around this site. So the property was eventually leased and used as a hotel, and it burned down in the early 40s. Somebody had a fire in one of the fireplaces, and sparks from the chimney ignited the roof, and the whole place caught fire and was consumed. And the fire also spread to this carriage house near the parking lot, and it too burned down. The site also contains a water tower which stayed intact, but in the 1970s, the mid-70s, it was vandalized and it was burned. So this place has been met with a lot of bad luck and unfortunate events. You know, getting killed in a car accident right when your dream home's about to be started, and the whole place burns down and then it gets vandalized. At least this whole place was able to be turned into a state park. So efforts to preserve this area as a state park began actually around the time that Robert McClure Snyder had come here to find this place for his house. In the early 1900s, Missouri Governor Herbert S. Hadley visited the area also, and there were many failed attempts to preserve this whole place as a park. However, in 1978, it was finally successful to get it created as a state park. So Ha Ha Tonka State Park was finalized and created in 1978. The ruins that you can see here are constructed from sandstone that was quarried on the site and brought up to the top of this hill. It's absolutely beautiful with the keystone elements and the arches. The carriage port there, porte cochere arches walking around the front of the house. You can see how it sort of had a symmetrical design. Had took full advantage of all of the views over the site. You can look up the history of Robert McClure Snyder online. kchistory.org contains a lot of information, biographical information. That's where I'm getting some of my data from. Doing a little research on Robert McClure Snyder. Before he died in his 1906 automobile accident in Kansas City, he had been a successful businessman and real estate speculator. He had moved to Kansas City and became really, really successful. He became a millionaire within 25 years of his coming to Kansas City. He came in 1880. He organized the Mechanics Bank, which became City National Bank and eventually a Kemper Bank. And he was the organizer of what became the Kansas City Life Insurance Company. He also participated in the formation of the natural gas utility industry in the Kansas City area. And so this was supposed to be his prime development for himself, his house here in Camdenton in the Ozarks. So it was unfortunate that he didn't get to, see it through. Must have been a Model T accident that he died in. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous day to take this footage. The sunlight peering through the remnants of this building, the structure. Nicely illuminates it. The structure has become unstable over the years. People used to be able to just walk around right next to it and inside of it. And naturally, it's decaying. The joints become unstable and the stone starts to fall and crumble. They've sectioned it off so you can't go directly up to it, but you can walk around it and get some nice shots of it. Ha Ha Tonka State Park is loaded with walking and hiking trails. Even if you're in a wheelchair, when you park in the parking lot, you have accessibility options. You can stroll yourself right up to the building on paved paths and sidewalks. It is accessible. And then there are other trails at all kinds of levels for varying abilities. There are trails through the hillside that are more challenging, trails that go down to the lake and the water. You can access this place by boat. And then there's also a structure like deck trail that goes up to the water tower area, and then also one that goes down to the natural bridge. There's just a variety of different trails here to pick from. Yeah, many, many trails. One of the trails we're going to walk in a little bit is called the Quarry Trail, and you could already see in some of my earlier shots, there was footage of the carts that they would use for the mules to pull the rocks and the sandstone that they cut on site, that they cut from the quarry and pulled up to the top of the hill. So that trail goes down into that area. Some of the fall leaves are beginning to show themselves. We had some footage there of some gorgeous, gorgeous red leaves beginning to change color. And then also the view of the spring leading down into the Lake of the Ozarks there. There are many opportunities to walk up on these decks that they've built and overlook all of the views. Sometimes people bring drones here and get drone footage, which is allowed. Here's a beautiful butterfly. It's incredible, incredible red rust-colored butterfly. Beautiful butterfly. This butterfly is known as the question mark butterfly. It gets its name from the whitish question mark on the underside of its hind wing. Now we're going to check out the lake trail and the quarry trail on the north side of the structure. As you set off to go walk these trails, you'll come across the site of Robert Snyder's greenhouse location, which will be off to your left on the west side. Apparently there's not really much left to look at, but you can see where they were. These trails get a little rocky, so you just have to be careful. If you have knee or leg problems, you probably will want to avoid these trails or not go very far. They're not very flat. There are rocks and tree roots that you need to look out for, and a lot of level changes. It does go kind of down a hillside and around a hillside location, so just be aware of that when you're walking on these trails. The lake trail goes down to the water boat access for the site. So if you do want to visit Ha Ha Tonka castle ruins by boat, you can do so with the lake trail. You can leave your boat on the dock there, and there are maps. There's a map location at the bottom underneath the little structure where you can see where you are and where you're going, where you're headed. The forest is so quiet and peaceful. There's beautiful little flowers, and again, we're here traveling these trails in early October when the weather is just fantastic, early fall. I'd be careful if I was going in winter time with snow or ice or anything like that. It wouldn't be a good idea. But I bet that this place is just fantastic at all other times of year. It would be really interesting to come here in spring. Also summer. This place has a lot to offer. It's absolutely beautiful. Ha Ha Tonka State Park has incredible examples of karst geology. Finding karst geology here, karst topography, this is a great place to see it. It is actually the result of the dissolving action of water on the bedrock. It's characterized by caves, sinkholes, springs, and natural bridges. Ha Ha Tonka, this whole area, has caves and collapsed caverns. Some of the best places in Missouri are characterized by the soaring turkey vultures overhead. Chances are, if there are soaring turkey vultures in the sky, it's going to be a really cool area. A lot of people here today, so strangely enough, we have to wear masks out on the trail and make sure that we keep our social distancing during this pandemic in 2020. Look at this. This is one of the green snakes of Missouri, rough green snake. This is a bright green snake that is common to the Ozark woodlands. It's non-venomous and it eats insects. These little guys hang out not far from the water in dense woodlands and vegetation. This is the perfect location for this little guy. So excited to come across this today. These snakes are gorgeous, beautiful, bright green with kind of a lime yellow underbelly. Just tasting the environment. Trying to make sure this little guy doesn't stay on the path. Stays out of trouble, stays out of danger. These guys can go anywhere from 22 to about 36 inches. They eat caterpillars, grasshoppers, crickets, and other insects and spiders and things like that. Beautiful. Now we've come across the armadillo. This is so exciting. This looks like a 9-banded armadillo. Armadillos are harder to come across in Missouri. They are here though. This is because armadillos prefer slightly warmer environments. They don't survive well in the snow. They need wooded areas. They like to mill around in wooded bottomlands, like right here, brushy areas, oak forests and that kind of thing. They dig burrows. They have really poor hearing and eyesight. They eat ants and beetles and flies. What are you looking for? What are you digging for? What are you gonna find? They have really sharp claws and they dig to expose their food. They eat a lot of dirt too. They don't hibernate. Such interesting creatures. When they're born, there's about 4 born at a time. Up to 4 armadillo babies. Definitely on a mission. They're covered with plates. They have well-developed claws. So excited to find one today. Armadillos are mammals. They don't have furry skin. They just have really hard and thick plates of skin that cover most of their body. It typically can grow between about 20 and 30 inches long or so. And they usually weigh about as much as a cat, a bigger cat. About 11 to 14 pounds. What is it called?
Lichen? I don't know.
Yeah, that sure is a pretty color. Moss, rock, and tree identifier. Continuing further down the Quarry Trail here, we've just seen some rocks that have lichen on them. Lichen is both an algae and a fungus, or a fungi. They have the green quality from the algae. You can find them on rocks in a semi-moist environment. Typically here in Missouri, it grows on rocks and things like that, and it's on the north side in the shade or shady area. Green-gray color is the layer of the plant covered by a white layer. When the air is moist, the white layer becomes more translucent from the moisture, allowing the green color to stand out more. The algae capitalizes on moist environments when it exists, and it provides nutrition to the fungi. Fungi can protect the algae when the air is drier in order to create a true mutualistic symbiotic relationship. Lichens can be an indicator of air quality in an area, and some survive in really harsh conditions. That information on lichens was according to the Washington University of St. Louis, doing some internet research. Karst topography, again, the result of dissolving action of water on the bedrock, characterized by caves, sinkholes, springs, natural bridges. This was where they quarried the sandstone to build Snyder's structure. These forests are some of the best oak woodlands in the state of Missouri in the Ozark area. There are almost 3,000 acres preserved in the Ha Ha Tonka Oak Woodland Natural Area. The wooded landscape features prairie grasses of little bluestem and Indian grass that flourish among gnarled post oak, black oak, white oak, and black hickory, some that are more than 300 years old. Wildflowers are also featured in the landscape. Open rocky glades that support plants and animals are featured in this area as well. Birds, there are many birds here too, and there's many opportunities to do bird watching. It's a fantastic area for bird watching.
Then you can take a left truck off. And then if you come back from there, you want to go that way.
Yeah, we should meet.
Thank you. Either way.
Thank you.
Thank you. It takes a while.
I've only hiked 2 of the trails here today, so it's unfortunate that I couldn't see more. This is such a great place to spend a peaceful afternoon. You could just sit here and just check out the views and sketch or draw. Before I leave here today, I did want to take a last hike over to the remains of the water tower and get a quick look inside of that. So I think we'll head over there shortly.
Hello.
Hello.
You can see the water tower over the parking lot, just on the other side. There's a deck walkway that leads up to this tower. It's not very wide, and it's not wheelchair accessible. There are stairs. There's a great view of the Lake of the Ozarks again. There's an informational plaque here on the water tower. You can read about how it worked, how they designed it. This is a bit of a walk, so you'll definitely get a workout. With the water tower and the greenhouses, and all of the natural springs that surround the site, it would have been a great location for a self-sufficient house and basically an estate. If you do a little bit more research on Robert Snyder, you might find that he was a pretty unscrupulous businessman. I think one of his sons tried to hold up a bank, and he also was charged with bribery in a different incident. And I think his car wreck that he passed away from, his chauffeur was involved in racing, and they also accidentally killed a boy bystander. I've really enjoyed visiting the castle ruins at Ha Ha Tonka State Park today. It was very beautiful and very peaceful, and I was really impressed. Thanks a lot for joining us today. I hope that you enjoyed all of the natural features and the views of the animals and the structure and the rocks.